Hello and welcome back to the Live Rally Game Podcast. My name is Steven Stewart, and I'm excited to be here today to talk more about the mall. But warning, this will be a chock full of spoilers because we have the fourth place player from this most recent season, Aaron Robinson, the man who you might say knew too much. How are you
Yeah,
doing, Aaron?
I'm doing good. Doing good. I'm happy to be here. This is such an honor to be able to do a deep dive and talk about this. And I was happy that we're doing it now because it would have been really hard to talk about anything without um, spoiling it because my game was very intrinsically tied with both you and the mole, Emily. So yeah, it's kind of a crazy whirlwind.
And I even think when I was watching back the penultimate episode, like I don't even feel like we get the full story of what you're seeing in those journals.
Yeah, no, no, yeah. I am so excited to go over everything and really kind of highlight just how like hard this season was, and a testament that we all managed to do how we did.
You have some fans in the chat. Luke's asking what your Instagram is. Is it posted anywhere? John is saying that everyone here should do the crinkle crunkle.
Yeah.
And our brave leader, Tim, is very stoked and excited for
Oh,
this.
thank you. I have with me because I've kept it all this time. I have the oh wait, hold on. It's probably gonna make more sense if I let you see my okay, we're gonna reveal behind the curtain my room here. Okay,
Woo!
so woo. Okay, it's probably but I have my tube here
Unopened?
and I have my journal, my light blue journal. And you have your dark blue one. See, because here it was it was a crazy game from second one. It was very interesting set of circumstances coming into it.
Yeah, so let's kind of talk what led you up to the game beginning. So just talking about your mole fandom. Have you always been a big fan, or was this something more recent?
Yeah, so I am a reality TV aficionado. For RHAP, I hosted the Rise and Fall series, where we took a look back at old reality TV series, what worked and didn't work about them. So The Mole was always a favorite of mine, with the Anderson Cooper seasons that we had here in the U.S. Obviously, the Netflix ones. I have seen the UK ones. I have seen a snippet. I need to get into the Dutch version because I've
Yeah,
seen
it's
like
like the
snippets
Belgian
of
mole
season
feels
one.
like everyone puts as like the pinnacle of
Yeah,
molding.
I need to start one. But I think a lot of my inspiration coming into this game came from the UK mole. I was
Okay.
very, very influenced by both UK mole season one and season two, and I really had wanted to play like um, the moles that I saw on those seasons.
Okay, so can talk to me about what that looks like. What were your strategies coming to the game and what you wanted to do?
Oh, well, see, I hadn't seen the Mole Ohio, so I really didn't know how anything worked. So I'm coming in from like a Mole UK standpoint, or even like the Mole US standpoint, where it's like, okay, they're going to be hiding clues throughout the season,
Okay.
and sometimes the mole themselves are going to be doing things that will be giving the clues away to the audience. So, in terms of a metagame, I made sure because it was the mole season six, our season, I was manifesting that I was associated with the number six as much as possible. And I did have a couple of lucky things break my way. I always was doing a six in the pictures, so that anybody looking at the pictures, like
Mhm.
why, you know, even for the preview pictures, I was holding like the pool balls of like
Mhm.
um, mole, and I carrying them around a lot the first day, or whenever we were waiting in the billiard room, I would write out "I am the mole" using the pool cue.
What
um,
I love is like
and
I was oblivious to so much of this.
yeah, and I was like playing around with them and like like trying to subtly hint to people that I could be um, the mole in any way, shape, or form that I could. Yeah.
Okay. And so wow, that's fascinating. Like, I didn't notice the picture thing. That's great. I didn't even realize it was season 6. I was like,
Yeah.
Mall Ohio 2025. Okay, so you apply for the game, you
Yeah.
get cast,
Yeah.
you're an extra on the US and UK mall.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about? Things you were planning before the game, before you arrive at the game site?
I really didn't have a plan coming into it. I was kind of like flying by the seat of my pants. Um, and I felt in a very unique position for this weekend because um, I live with two roommates, and so they both happened to be out on vacation during the filming of this, and so um, they had cats, and so I was tasked while they were gone to take care of the cats while they were gone. So I had
My favorite question on the quiz one: where did everyone sleep? Third floor, second floor, first floor, or Aaron's house?
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, because it was, and that I feel like that really did have a big factor in my game because I wasn't there. Um, I think because I think if I was in the house, I feel like um, things might have played out a lot differently. I definitely see Josh and I communicating a lot more. I definitely know that I am an early riser, so I probably would have been up to see. And I don't know if that would have played into it for me. Yeah, I'm excited to dive into the whole thing, but yeah, I was in a position where I was not in the house uh, after we filmed, so I didn't have a lot of time to talk to people outside of the rounds, and I was kind of coming in blind. And the nights at this house in this room were crazy for me because I had an
Studying or
hour.
from the cats?
Yeah, yeah, oh yes, and also I had an hour less of sleep than everybody else because I had to account for driving there and back, and I would be like filling the journal. That's what I did the first day. Really, was just fill the journal with everything. Like the journal was a really big part of my strategy in this game because when we arrived, people were talking about past seasons and they said that Rachel was always writing in her journal and she wasn't. I'm like, okay, I need to do that. I cannot put this down. I don't know what's going to be on the quiz or not on the quiz. I need to be prepared. And so I wrote down pretty much everything from second one. When we got to the place, I wrote down everybody, the order that everybody arrived in the house and their order. Actually, hold on. Now that's right side. So yeah, the order that everybody arrived at the house. So as you can see, Josh arrived first and had a red notebook. Emily arrived second, had a pink notebook. Noah arrived, had an orange notebook, and I arrived fourth. So I get there to the house. Tim's there, and it's Josh, Emily, and Noah, and we go up to the third floor. And so Emily and Noah are talking, and Josh and I, in turn, start talking like we're having our own conversation on the bed. And it was a really cool, just out of game social conversation, made a very, very like really quick connection. And so, ding dong, somebody's at the door. We go downstairs, and it's you.
Yeah, I was like, I know I got there early, but
Yeah,
not as early as some people.
yeah, and it's you. And then Luke arrives afterwards, and then Brienne arrives. And so at that point, when it's the seven of us gathered, you, Luke, I'm sorry, no, you, Brienne, Noah, and Emily go back upstairs. I don't know what you all were doing up there.
We're just chatting.
Yeah. And so it left me, Luke, and Josh on the first floor, and pretty much that entire conversation. We started talking, and then Tim was like, "Oh, we should film this." So then we like rehashed what we already had started to
Wait,
talk
so
about.
so in the
Yeah,
episode when we see the three of you come together and form the Sus Squad, is that
yeah.
before the game even begins?
It's when the 7 people were in the house
Oh wow.
and you all went upstairs and said, okay, you know what? We're gonna I'm gonna trust that neither of you two are the mole, and we're just gonna make this alliance right now. And I was shocked that the conversation went as long as it did, and that nobody from upstairs came downstairs. And it kind of got to the point where we're like, well, we kind of have to do something because we were convinced that something was happening upstairs with the 4 of you. And like, okay, well, we need to do. They're all talking upstairs. We need to do something. So yeah, it was
And like that conversation upstairs, I mean, Emily, Brienne, or Noah at the time, and I don't recall what we were talking about. We were just chatting about stuff, and just like kind of get to know you things.
Yeah. And it was interesting. And then Aaron and Danny both arrived together, and then Riley came, and then Lachey, and then Joe was last. And Joe was the alternate, correct? That Joe was
Joe.
last?
So Joe was the most last minute alternate, right? So he replaced the person. I mean, because I also was an alternate at some point, but I was tapped pretty early in the process.
Oh, cool! Because I know who the person that Joe replaced, and I will say, had it been that person instead of Joe, I think we have a very different season.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because, I know who you're talking about, and I do think Joe played. He said it's such a survivor-based game. This other player would not have done that.
Yeah, because I think the alliances would have changed because I know for a fact that if they were there, they probably would have been my number one over Josh. And
really,
yeah,
do you know?
Completely changed because I won't say their name, but they were
asking if Tim gets permission, we'll name names. But if Tim does not get permission, we will leave it anonymous.
I'll leave it anonymous. But if it's who I'm thinking of, I know for a fact that it actually would have drew me closer to you and Lachey.
Oh wow!
From the beginning, because they would have. I think we that unspoken real foot thing would have been a lot more unspoken real foot if it's who I'm thinking of. Yeah,
because it was interesting because I have that real connection with you and Lachey. But it never felt something like I felt like I really was waiting very highly because we're all different seasons, different years apart.
Yeah.
You and I'd seen you play, but we'd never talked.
Right.
And I'd recently interviewed Lachey, but she was like, "Who are you again?"
And I was like, "Oh yes, this is the Steven that does the interviews." I was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah. At one point, I'm like going to the wiki. I'm like, I'm pretty sure, and I'm pulling up, and I'm like, yeah, this looks like him.
Yeah. It was really it was cool, but yeah, I was excited to be there and talk with everybody. And I was very happy to see Lachey because I had just been down there for her season, and so it was like, oh cool, familiar face. And then I already knew Luke because Luke and I, as Luke mentioned, Luke, we were the first we were our first I guess LRG ORG meetup in real person because it was during it was after the pandemic or before everything. I can't remember if it was before everything shut down. We met in person and it was really cool. It was very, very nice to see familiar faces.
So you know Luke, you know Lachey.
Yeah.
You recognize me. Anyone else you recognize or know in this cast overall?
Looking at everybody, I knew Aaron and Joe.
Santi had confirmed it was a 2021 New York City meetup that you and Luke met.
Oh, yes, but Luke and I actually had met each other in Indiana because I drove down to Richmond because we went to Applebee's and we ate in person. It was Richmond.
Was it as good as Survivor makes it seem like?
It was really fun. It was really fun. So yes, Luke. Yeah. Yes, it is Richmond. Yeah,
Luke confirms there was an earlier Richmond meetup.
Yeah.
Also, Luke's wanting you to know that no one slept in that house anyways, so you didn't really miss much in terms of sleep.
I'm really happy that I had the time to just like sit and like write everything. It was really nice.
Because I agree, that was hard for me to find a place where I can work and like not and like kind of have my space. Because people were sleeping all over downstairs. So like
Hmm.
I think by the end of the day, I was just like, I'm just gonna climb the stairs and just sit on the stairs and
Oh,
study. That's so
oh no, I don't even know where I would have slept in that house.
um,
I really
I
don't
don't
even
know
know.
either. There was a bed on the third floor. There was a bed there.
Okay, who was up on the third? Wait, hold on. I wrote it down in my notebook.
Oh, hold on. Quiz question. Who was on the
Who
third
was on
floor?
the third floor? I literally wrote it down. Wait, hold on. Where is it? Where did I write the floors for people? I don't even know where I wrote that down.
It was Luke, Brienne, and me. I'm gonna spoil it for you.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, because I don't remember where anybody was at. Okay, Luke Brienne. Okay, okay. That would have been a fun floor.
Yeah, no, I mean that first night we just kind of chatted and kind of talked and like, but like no formal alliance was made. But it was like okay, like because like Luke and I had a lot of chats late at night and from our beds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and so do we don't have really anything before the mission, right? We just kind of
No,
jump right into it.
so the game kind of begins, right? And so we
Yeah,
launch in that first mission. This is the radio mission, and
yeah.
you are on whatever team you're on, not my team.
Orange.
You're
Let's
on the
do
orange
orange.
team with Josh
Josh
and
and Noah.
Noah.
Yes.
Talk to me about your experience in this challenge.
Yeah. So we were in Tim's car, and so we walked out, and um, I was given the keys to the car, and so Josh and I had already had the agreement that we were going to be sus. So what I did was, and it's just so innocuous afterwards, but I think you do see it on the episode.
Mhm.
Um, I locked the car. And maybe it took like an extra 15 seconds to get in the car. Like, oh, and I was like, oh, the car is it can't open it. Oh no. And then we get in there and we have to like search for the
Envelope.
the
Uh,
walkie-talkie. And so during this challenge, it was just chaotic. And the thing that I wanted to know was who is in charge of the walkie-talkie? Because I'm like, the mole is going to be in charge of the walkie-talkie or taking up airspace. And so blue team and purple team, which is the team that you were on, purple, jumped out to me just because it just felt so off. It was weird communicate. I still don't understand the whole like what's the word for this? Like two-factor authentication of like how long is this? Because again, it's like the only people that could see the crossword are the yellow team. So like we're not going to be able to verify anything by like there's zero way to know what's so but yeah, it was very interesting. I did have a thought of if I had control of the walkie-talkie, just holding down the thing so that our team couldn't hear
Mhm.
or that nobody could hear, and just kind of holding it. I did consider that, but no, I had the walkie-talkie in our car, and it went pretty smoothly for us. We
Mhm.
were like, "What are all these other teams doing?" Blue team and purple team are crazy. So I was looking at Danny, Emily, and Lachey, especially after Lachey had the whole author thing,
Yeah.
which just to give everybody a sense of how this challenge or a lot of challenges work, we filled out like a big questionnaire before the season. And honestly, I think if you asked most everybody, I think we all would have changed our answers
Yeah.
in between the time that we took the questionnaire and when the
Because I
season
before
started.
the season began, I went
Yeah,
back and was like, surely I got some record or receipt of the answers I submitted for this, and I couldn't find it. I was like,
yeah,
oh, I don't know what I answered for these. I don't even
yeah,
remember what I was asked for these, and so yeah, I mean, I think
yeah.
Lachey reads a lot, so she's like, yeah, my favorite author. My favorite author is the best book I've read recently, and that's changed.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. And it just was like it was hard to really but I wrote down like every question that we had. And so the first question that we had, it said Steven's nickname. So Chief. So Chief was like very much like in my head from like very, very early on. And just taking note of like who we had questions about and how everything was organized and everything. Yeah, but we won $115. So that was really pretty cool.
I
We got
never did it that well ever again. Well,
never did that well.
yeah, never.
And we got these tubes, and I've never opened it. It's still unopened. Yeah.
So when you got the tube and Josh
Yeah.
is like, I'm opening it immediately, what was your thought process of these?
I was like, I was really worried that we were gonna get like punished immediately, or that we were gonna get like a penalty ourselves, or like, oh, you get one less question right on your quiz, or something that was like really like punishing for opening it. So I didn't even want to touch it just in case it had anything to do with my longevity in the game. It's just out of superstition. I didn't want to be the person that opened Pandora's box.
Yeah, I think that's fair. For me, I was like, yeah, let's write it out.
Yeah. And just hearing about people losing stuff, and Lachey had told me that she took Luke's tube and hid it in the bathroom. And I didn't even know about Riley. That was crazy watching that. I didn't even know. And then Danny the next day forgetting it, which, you know, I just kept it on me at all times, on my pocket, driving back home with it so nobody tampered with it. And the first night, I will say, was absolutely nuts because we got the dossiers day one, and we were told for the first time our season is different. They're going to be taking the dossiers away, and our quizzes are going to be 20 questions instead of 10. And during this point, Luke, myself, and Josh, and I think Riley was starting to get in there too. We were talking about strategy behind the quizzes, and what I've seen on the mole seasons that I've watched is, you know, there's maybe like 3 or 4 choices, and you have to learn how to group everybody together.
Yeah.
So you can at least know what range to pick. And so we studied at the house who were the commonalities for everything. And then I went home and I went to work and I wrote like every question down. And so I organized it in a certain way. So like every question,
Oh,
my columns were the questions. And actually a funny thing with this was I kept writing Emily's name as Emmy. I kept messing up Emily's name and having to rewrite it. And like there was always something happening with like Emily's column that every time I wrote it, I think that was the universe trying to tell me something, and I just was not listening to it. And I just organized the column that way I could like read across, but also if I needed to compare and quickly find the answer to the question of what I, you know, and that first quiz, do we have another chance before the first quiz?
So we have the second radio challenge where we have the grid of symbols, you convey your grid to someone else, and and you end up being a very key. You and I have some key positions in this challenge.
Yes, we do. So we get in there, and we're just kind of waiting around. Like we didn't even know the challenge had started for a few minutes, and I think you had the walkie-talkie, and we're like, "Oh, we need to turn it on." We didn't know the challenge had started, so I guess they had already started talking. And then we had the strategy of like, "Hey, we're gonna go first," and then things. And I had made a point before we started the challenge to write down all of the symbols because again, they're going to hide clues about the mole in the challenges. I need to pay attention to symbols and figure out if any of the symbols relate to anybody. And so I'm looking at the crown for Chief. I'm looking at the bell. I'm like, oh, is that the Liberty Bell from Pennsylvania? I'm just like trying to connect the symbols to people to see if there actually is a clue about the mole in here. There probably was not, but you know. And so, but then Rachel said that we couldn't use we couldn't
We couldn't write it down. We were literally told, like,
we couldn't write it down. I was like, oh well, I have the information.
Like,
So I'm just gonna close this. And so we started the challenge, and for me, memory is a very strong suit of mine, and so I was trying to prove. I don't know why I was trying to prove to myself and to you all that I could just rattle off the thing without having to look at it. So I wasn't even looking at the thing. I was just like reading it, and then in the middle, like forgetting, and then looking back so I could remind myself, oh yeah, and then do it again, and like without having to. I don't know why I did that.
And like, I don't think what's seen in the episode is that all of us had memorized a row, and so like if you were just going off base, if one of us would have found a note immediately that you were lying.
Yeah. So turns out when Brienne had put the things, Brienne had switched the symbols, but they didn't know. They didn't notice that. And it's so funny that all the teams ended up just switching the last two symbols in different ways. Now, granted, Aaron had purposely switched.
Yeah.
Or Aaron had purposely switched the last two when she was giving out her row. But yeah, it was great. And then after that, we came down because I was shocked that we had $0.
Yeah, so I think everyone including production was shocked that we missed the freebie.
Yeah, I was like, how did we get no money from this? And I remember getting chewed out by the team of Aaron, Brienne, Emily, and Danny. And I was like, okay, this is 2 times that people from the same teams keep messing up this walkie-talkie stuff. And that made me go really, really hard on Emily from this, or Emily, Brienne, and Danny, but mainly Emily, because it was just so weird the way the whole walkie-talkie stuff was conducted. And I was trying to ask, like, who had the walkie-talkie on each team. And I want to say, I think Emily said that they passed it around. But I know Emily had the walkie-talkie at points, and I was just like, I was like laser tunnel vision, like it's Emily, but I didn't want to go too far on her.
Yeah,
so I just like talked about her in confessional. But when I actually did the quiz, I put a little bit more on Brienne. And okay. I need to talk about these quizzes because I don't think this has really been noted as it should have.
That first quiz was brutal.
Because nobody was prepared for the quiz. A, double the question. And B, I'm used to seeing quizzes from the mole having like 4 choices. But I remember going up there in the room, and because we had memorized like, the most common answer for each thing. And we get up there, and they're asking questions, the same questions that we answered on the dossier, with maybe like a couple questions from that round. So that's pretty much
2 or 3.
Pretty much how all the quizzes work. Maybe there'd be 2 or 3 questions from the round itself, but like the vast majority of questions were from the dossier. And you better have memorized what everybody said to the letter, to the punctuation. So if they were asked how many kids you had, and somebody said 2, and the other person said 2 with an exclamation point, those were 2 different answers. So you better know exactly. It's basically, you have to know who the mole is to do well on this quiz. And I think seeing the chart at the end that's just mostly red of us being way off is because, I mean, unless you were literally spot on and memorized exactly what the person wrote, there was just no way that anybody was going to get over maybe 2 or 3. This happened to be the most that I answered about Emily for the entire season, because I was just very like Emily focused, but it kind of spooked me because when I wrote down everybody's answers from the previous night, I kind of abbreviated a lot of it. I didn't realize that they were literally going to take what we said as gospel and just
yeah,
and which which actually made it easier to rule people out. And I was kind of worried that I would be ruled out very early as a mole candidate because I knew a lot of my answers were going to be very specific because I often gave like explanations for my answers, but I didn't just like give like a
Mhm.
number or like a thing. I just put things, or like I was the only person that was not in the house. So
Yeah.
it, like it was very easy to not answer any questions about me on the quiz if you wanted to. And so I just kind of like answered to the best of my ability. You
Mhm.
actually had you, Lachey, and Aaron. Um, I had answered the second most about after Brienne, and then Emily was under that. Um,
Yeah,
with
I'm gonna try to see if I can find my first because I was doing the same as you. Like, I don't know if you
yeah,
can tell, but I was like, all right, like, trying to break things down to groups. And I took the quiz, like, just kidding, that's not a strategy.
yeah. And actually, the quiz thing actually I think kind of bonded the cast together because pretty much after every quiz, we made a point to like gather together downstairs and be like, okay, what were the questions in the
Yeah.
quiz? Because I don't remember. Because it's not just 10, it's 20 questions. And like I hope and just comparing notes, I was like, okay, cool. Birthplace, notebook color, task one team, task two team, favorite author, eye color. That's pretty much like what they all had on here. Um, did they open a tube? Where do they sleep? Um, so yeah, it was
Yeah, my favorite part is you come on the quiz, you say, all right, we were asked, what's their lucky number? I'm like, I don't even know what I answered. I was just like, I picked a number and I don't recall it. So
yeah.
I can't figure out who I answered the question on.
Yeah, I actually even wrote notes in here about what I almost answered. So, for example, for lucky number, I wrote down that I almost picked 4, which was Danny's lucky number, but I changed to 11, which happened to be Brienne's lucky number. Just in case, like, I stayed and I had like different things, like who are people to go on.
Mhm.
What I realize now after the fact is that I think it was really I think I ruled out too many people too quickly
Mhm.
because I think I overestimated how well he would be doing on these quizzes because the answers were so specific that
Mhm.
I didn't think about, oh, it's probably more likely that I'm wrong about most of these than right. And so even if I answered like 3 questions about somebody, they could have been the mole.
Mhm.
But anybody that I answered like 1 or 2 questions on, I ruled out. And I ironically on this quiz, I answered about myself, Luke, and Josh with the least amount of answers. So after the quiz, I remember meeting up with Luke and Josh, and we were all like, "Yeah, I didn't really answer about you at all. So I've pretty much written you all off as the mole." So I think I trust this alliance. We can kind of move forward with it. Yeah.
I noticed that first night, you and Josh were studying each other a lot. Mainly because Josh had no
Yeah,
dossier.
Josh. Yeah, yeah. Josh lost the dossier, which I guess you had.
I was under a bed at that point.
Yeah, and so that like kind of brought me and Josh together, and ironically, I think that ended up being the best we ever did in a quiz was when we were talking to each other, and because Josh had really good strategy about how to do the quizzes, and I was soaking up every note, everything that Josh said to me, and so I was like really making sure to be as prepped as possible. And that's actually one of my biggest regrets of this game was that I didn't talk to Josh more, um, and like really, really, really compared notes because I think when we did, that's when we were both strongest in the game, even though ironically we stayed a long time.
So after that first quiz, Riley's eliminated. We're beating around two, and like we don't have time to really do a lot of prep work. We're kind of thrown straight into it. We
Yeah.
have the mini golf challenge. In it,
Yes.
you and I are the trivia answerers,
Yes.
and you get a music question.
Yeah. So on the way to this golfing challenge, um, I end up in the car with Brienne because Aaron ended up having to drive, and I know originally Brienne and Aaron were going to meet a car with Rachel. Um, And so I end up in the car with Brienne instead. And in the car, I go to Brienne, who I just answered the most about on the last quiz. And I say, yeah, Brienne, I know you're the mole. So that's, I know you're the mole. I'm going to, be paying closer attention to you for this. And I feel really confident about, something to that effect.
You like this strategy because I think you did this several times. You
Uh,
go to the person and say, "You're the mole. I'm watching you. Don't worry."
yeah, yeah. I tried to get close to people that was the mole. And and yeah, I was so paranoid at this point about what was going to be on the quiz because that first quiz scarred me so much. They had no idea what they were going to ask about from this round. And so I wrote down what club people had, what color ball people had, because they were filming us.
What people had for
They
lunch?
would-
Yeah, no,
they
you
would-
were
yeah,
your notes were exhaustive. It
they
was
were
impressive.
you had for lunch. So I know that Emily had a dark blue club and a lavender ball. And I was like trying to compare to see like, oh, did the color of the ball match their notebook? Like, is this somebody to look more into because they knew that there was going to be that color ball. I don't know. I was like reading into. You had a dark blue club and a white ball. I wrote,
I appreciate Tim didn't test us on that minutia because if I saw that
yeah,
quiz, I was like,
yeah. I was even jotting down my score for golf in case because I was like, why are they having us all just randomly play golf while the other two
Mhm.
are doing the other task? I thought there was going to be a trick to what was happening and that like we were going to have to keep track of our score for I don't know. But yeah, I ended up with the music question, which I knew I was going to get the music question and they probably were going to give me a lot of points on it. And I literally guessed everything except for the correct answer and it was in an area that I knew nothing about. But mycology I knew a lot about.
Mhm.
But they gave the wrong answer, the wrong area, the wrong question. I would have. Oh, there's other questions that I like really knew really well. But yeah, now I know that Led Zeppelin never reached #1 on the Billboard charts.
See, so much learning and about non-Ohio
Who's learning?
trivia too.
Yeah. And then afterwards we uh, go to lunch. I'm sitting directly across from you at the end of the table. I have the table right here.
Table map,
So
nice.
as you can see, I'm at the
Yeah.
bottom, right across from
I was
Steven.
trying to do that too,
Yeah,
but yours
you're
is
sitting
nicer.
next to Lachey, which is really funny because you both end up being a couple. And yeah, you had water and a Veracruz salad. I don't know why I was writing down everything, and I made a point during dinners like these to also do suspicious things as the mole because I believe I was one of the only people that ordered. I ordered the enchilada
Boy.
con mole poblano. Yeah. Um, and I actually remember that. Um, oh, I can't remember exactly when. It might have been after during the first round before the quiz because Lachey had came to me and said like Emily and Noah are pushing you really hard. They're like they're telling everybody that Aaron had the mole balls and he's the oh they're coming after you. I said oh no I didn't. Well, also oh yes like because then
Yes,
we
I
then
know.
we
It's like, oh
initially
no,
but
oh, rats, I'm being found.
but I yeah so yeah I ordered the enchilada camole and I had French fries and water and it was yeah and I remember Luke joking about how like nobody was drinking the drink that they said was their favorite drink. um oh and then we come back to the house we have the Joker we're tied together.
Yep.
Yeah, I wrote down the chain of where I was. So I was next to Danny, who was next to you.
Mhm.
So Danny was in between us, and we were all tied together. And I don't really know what we could have done for this challenge. I was kind of like wondering about the design of this challenge because I felt like it kind of
I,
ended before it began.
well, I think on our ends, like it was. I think if we weren't told like, hey, your turns are being shortened, so we were just like, oh, suddenly it's done. We're like, what?
Yeah.
I was chatting with Tim. It would have been interesting had this challenge been up front, saying this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right, you're going to go out there. You will have an offer, and maybe in that case we just squabble. No one goes because no one wants to give someone the pass, or who knows what would have happened. It'd been interesting had like the information asymmetry been changed to an extent.
Yeah. It was crazy.
But yeah, no. So like in this challenge, we have 4 people go: Emily, Josh, Aaron, and Danny. Both Josh and Danny take jokers, but Emily and Aaron with an E don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just kind of took their word for it, I did find it weird that not one person did like the "Hey, I'm going to help the team."
I was not surprised.
They all just did nothing or like took so that they kind of just like ended it before it started, which was very interesting. And then we had our second quiz after this, and
yeah. So what are you feeling? How are you feeling at this quiz?
This quiz, I think at this point, I had been really turned on to Danny. After Danny forgot the tube, and then Danny got the question wrong, and Danny was in those groups with Emily, and I just thought, Danny has been surrounded by teams that have sabotaged. She could be a really good mole candidate. So I ended up answering 15 questions about Danny on this quiz. Yeah, it was really, really high on Danny. And I like backed off of Brienne and Emily. And ironically, you and Lachey were I answered the second most questions. So what I would do is after the quiz, I would write down like how many questions I answered about the person, and then I would I'd average the answers out and star it. I don't know if averaging really would have helped me, especially if I was off, but it was kind of like, hey, I've answered consistently about these people. So you, Lachey, and Danny were like my top 3 at that point, Emily being 4th. So it just kind of like, you were all kind of rattling around in my brain at that point.
And so this next round, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Noah's eliminated.
Yes.
And like I don't think it never really got to me that he went really all in on a player. But did you hear that about him going out?
Yeah. Yeah. So the only thing that clued me in that there was other alliances happening was the whole I did what we talked about at the ceremony. I was like, I don't even know what person Noah went in on for that quiz. Okay. That would have been really really helpful to know that.
Yeah, I think had that spread, it would change a lot of people's trajectories in the game.
Yeah, it would have. So yeah, going into the next set of and I can't remember at what point in the game I did this. But in the room, the billiard room that we waited, oh, your permission, by the way, Tim, was we were talking about alternates for the season, and I said that if a certain person that was originally cast was in the cast, the season is very different because they would have been my absolute number 1 person. And I don't know if I would have been as strong with Josh and Luke in the same way that I would have been with that person. Because it could be on a future season, yeah, back to the so in the billiard room there was a clock that was on a time, and I wrote down what the time was. I forgot what the time exactly was. It was like 12. But at one point I changed the clock to my birthday because my birthday is August 12th. So I set the clock to 8 o'clock, so 8:12. So that would be a clue, something changed. This is a clue about who the mole is. I was just trying to do physical clues that set things up and see if people notice.
So the third challenge, or third first challenge, third round.
Mhm.
You, Joe, and I are the least limber players, so we end up
Yes.
being team captains.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about how you draft your team here?
Yeah. I think I mentioned it in the thing was I drafted because up to this point, Emily and I had kind of been very adversarial
Mm.
because I was really zeroed in on Emily being the mole. And Emily, in her mind, is like, oh my gosh, Aaron is on to me. I'm going to throw Aaron under the bus. And so she was pushing me a lot as a mole candidate. And so I'm like, okay, I want to draft a team of people that I trust, quote unquote. I had backed off Brienne, so I was like, and backed off Emily. So I'm like, okay, I'll let them be on a team with me. And I knew I could trust Aaron from our time on the Traders. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's make a team. But yeah, Emily's name, I was like, Emily, get on here. Uh, which I think spooked Emily because Emily at this point still believed that I thought that Emily was the mole, whereas at that point I think I had started to shift a little bit. Um, we got a video from Wayne on the previous mole, which was fun. I wrote down that it was a 51-second video in here, just in case that I didn't know it was going to come up on the quiz. I was really 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 paranoid, and we had the words fiction and whiskey, which I don't know. They just felt like really hard words
Hmm.
for our team. And I can't remember. I think Aaron was the one that said we should walk because we were going to drive. And I was like, no, it's right there. We'll just walk, which I'm sure definitely ate a lot of time of us just walking because we spent so much time at the bar trying to do the word drink, and you saw the on the
Yeah.
episode. It was just, and that was the weird thing too was I didn't really have a history of taking a lot of panoramic pictures.
Oh, I don't think anyone did
So
in our cast.
what was happening was like, it was hot, so my phone was like overheating, and I was trying to take the picture, and it would look really good, and then I think the part that always messed me up was actually capturing the picture because I think maybe I would like take my finger off at the end and it would like reset the whole thing,
Mole
or like
behavior.
I was supposed to, and so the picture would look perfect, and then I was genuinely trying to take the pictures, it was just not clicking. I don't even know how we took that drink picture. We tried 50 billion strategies, and none of us were getting it. And I was like, why is Emily doing? Like, Emily's really bad. I just it didn't really occur to me that like, oh yeah, Emily could be sabotage. But like we were just a struggle bus as a whole team. Granted, title took us like 2 seconds. Um, which I think we actually could have done fiction, but yeah, we were the only team that did the 5-letter words, which
Yeah,
I
that
guess
was
is
something that's
like,
close to me. It's like, man, everyone else at least tried a one $15 word. I'm like, man, why is this team only doing $5 words? What's going on there?
yeah, yeah. I didn't even think of that either. I was like, wow, I should have paid more attention to stuff. But yeah, I it was
Tim was confirming it was hot. He was afraid he was getting sunburned. And Tim, someone who burns really easily, I felt that out there. I was like,
yeah,
I beeline for the shade. I'm like, this is where we're doing our picture.
it was, and I believe Tim was with us, and we were we were trying to find space in the bar. We just didn't have a lot of space, so I think that's what also made us pick the 5-letter word because it was like we could barely do this with a 5-letter word, and we're like running out of room. I don't know how we're gonna do a 7-letter word in this like very compact space near the bar because we didn't want to necessarily get like yelled at by the bar. And yeah, lots of subtle sabotages in that from probably a lot of people. But I was genuinely trying to do the challenge. I didn't really register until maybe afterwards, thinking about it more.
After the challenge, we guess the words. Anything
Mhm.
about that before we get to the coupling?
Yeah, I was kicking myself for funeral because just the way they took that picture, it was just so weird. The way like the U and the N
Oh,
were
because
together because it
Danny kind
looked
of
like
gets
an
glitched out
H.
and everything like that. And you're just like,
Yeah,
what is this?
it looked like an H, and like completely threw off what the word was. And in my mind, like yeah, like just my brain didn't. And then we were literally sitting down, and when we switched from the tiny computer to the large TV, and I could actually see the picture, I was like, oh, that's a cemetery. It has to be funeral. And I was like, oh, you know, those pictures were very hard to see on that tiny screen. It was a lot easier on the actual TV to see everything.
So in the couple rounds, you're compared to a volcano,
Yeah.
and you end up partnered with the other Aaron.
Yes. This Tim. Oh, Tim. Honestly, this was such an amazing round.
It was fun.
I felt like I was back in college, frantically trying to take notes because I was trying to write down everything that
Oh, this part,
Matt was saying. My hand was cramped because I was like, those slides were huge, and I was like, wait, I'm trying to write down because I know we're gonna get asked questions on this slideshow, which we were, and I didn't know exactly what we were gonna get asked about. Like frantically writing down like how, the adjectives they use to describe us.
Oh, because he had
Like
like
our
a
nickname.
2-3 minute spiel for every single
Yes,
person.
and
I
I
was
was
like, what
like,
is happening?
and it was like, and the slides were moving so quick, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to like abbreviate all this. I can't write it all down. So I was like, I like frantically wrote a bunch of stuff, and it was cool to get paired with Aaron because I really was like, okay, I think Aaron's gonna be a really good quiz taker. Um, I think Aaron will have a really good mind for the game. And this was around that, spoiler alert, like over half the cast would only get one question right. I don't know what it was about this particular that made
Well,
everybody lose the plot of like what we were doing. But
well,
it,
I think at this point in time, everyone is looking at Danny, and everyone is
yes,
going hard on Danny.
that's actually true.
I
Yeah,
did that.
yeah,
I'm sure. I think you were doing that too a
yeah,
bit.
yeah. We were going so hard for Danny and Brienne, and when we went to dinner, Aaron was so nice and so generous. I really appreciate Aaron. And it was cool sitting across from you and Lachey because this was like the first time I really had gotten to talk to the both of you in a while in the game. And it was kind of cool just to hearing people's thoughts on things. And I just remember going back and contemplating switching. I really was contemplating switching partners.
Okay.
Um, and
Who'd you want to be partnered with?
I don't know. I just thought, like, what if I switched it? Now, we do know, because it was released, well, to us, who our new partners would have been, and we would have had time to talk to them.
Wait, no,
So,
I thought our partners would have been reassigned at random. Is that not
yes,
what?
we got the screenshot of what the random assignments would have been that night.
Oh,
So
I don't remember who I would have been with.
I would have been paired with Emily.
Mhm.
I think you were still with Lachey anyway.
Okay.
um, I would have been paired with Emily, so I actually would have been safe for that round, ironically. And but I think I'm actually glad the teams ended up the way they did. Now, granted, I don't know who would have gone home in that instance. I actually do wonder who would have gone home because I think it would have changed how people answered on the quiz because they would have had a different partner.
Yes.
And the quiz being paired with Aaron actually made me start looking at Aaron just in case I was safe because we all had gone in so hard on Danny that I was like, okay, there is no way that I'm still here, which was a correct assessment because I only got one question right that week. Um, no
Same.
way that I'm still here. And so there has to be a possibility that Aaron is the mole and I'm just being was brought on. And so the next day, and I just loved that was my favorite confessional too, was recording with Aaron after that night. It was because we ended the night on that,
Mhm.
and it just shook everything. And I just went back to the house going like, I don't even know what's happening. And when I came back the next morning, I believe this was when you hid.
Yes.
And I come back and I'm hearing about random postcards being in here. Oh no. It would have been before Brienne left because Brienne had like 5 of them.
So Brienne
So
had 3 postcards. I don't think she shared with anyone that she
yeah,
had.
no. So like I had no idea about any of those.
So when Brienne and Danny get eliminated, right?
Yeah.
And now there's 8 players left in the game.
Yeah.
Can you rank at this point who you're most to least suspicious of?
I don't,
This end of day 2.
So here, end of day 2, I had averaged out who I answered on. So the top 3 was you, Lachey, and Aaron, and Emily was 4th still. So I was still kind of looking at Aaron just in case, like, oh, maybe I was saved because
You were part of the mole. You had the secret
Right.
exemption.
Right. And it was also because I was so sure that Danny and Brienne were going to be there because one of them were the mole, so they had to both be safe. But the fact that they both went, it was broke my brain. I did not know what to do after this, and I think this was a turning point for me because I was like, oh, maybe the mole is not a woman. Maybe the mole is actually still a male. And you were my number one thing at that point. I'd been answering consistently on you, and I was like, okay, well, maybe that's why I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, when I hearing about these postcards and stuff, I wrote down where everybody was sitting at the table. I'm sitting next to Emily, and I numbered everybody. So yeah, Luke got the phone. Then Josh picked up the phone. John called and Emily picked up the phone. And at those times, the speaker was so loud you could hear the exact phone call that was being made. So when I went up there for the third and last phone call, I turned the volume down on purpose because I was like, rule of 3s, just in case my phone call happens to be way different than the 2 that we just heard. Even if it's not, I'm going to pretend like it was.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was like, what? Huh? What do you mean? Okay. And I walk outside. And so I got to have conversations with both Josh and Emily at this point. And I told Josh, I said, hey, I'm considering putting a lot of questions on Aaron because I don't know if I'm still here because of that. You should put questions on Emily just in case Emily is the mole and you are here because of Emily. And we were talking about, like, there's a trendy pick right now. And the trendy pick is probably going to be Steven. Because of all the stuff that's happening with the postcards and stuff. And so I had a brief video about the facts of Wilmington. It was very fun. It was a really fun video. And I enjoyed watching it. It was such a fun ride. It was a video from the 2010s that was talking about the history of Wilmington. So it was a little dated. And halfway through, I turned the volume off.
So
because
when you get to that challenge later, you were literally only allowed to tell the truth, right? Is that
correct?
The rule for you?
Yes.
Okay.
And
when you said I turned the volume off, I was just like, what?
Yes. So and that's the part that I was like worried about too, because it was like I could only tell the truth, and so even if I knew the answer, thankfully we only had 15 seconds to answer. So I was like, okay, as long as I either filibuster or answer the truth, but like pick like the weirdest thing or the weirdest way to answer the question, people aren't going to believe what I'm saying.
Which I think you were very successful with that.
And I actually thought me talking about I turned down the volume was going to give me away because like I couldn't lie about what I did.
I don't know if we knew you couldn't lie. I don't know. I like.
Well, because I had to tell the truth. I have to
Okay.
tell the exact
Yeah.
like I can't lie. So like if I can't lie, I can't be making anything. I have to be 100% the
Mhm.
truth. And so I was thinking like the Jackbox game, like Fibbage. I was like, I have to be
Yeah.
like, tell the truth, but in a way that nobody's gonna believe, because I knew that whoever like if a certain amount of people answered about me, that would be a certain amount of uh
Gosh,
advantages that I would get for the
Fibbage would be
next
such a
spin.
great game than just playing the ball. That is a great comparison.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was it was a very interesting time. So I was kind of bonded to Josh and Emily because of our shared position. And so they didn't announce how we did, but I knew when I walked in, and I ended up with the number 6, and I was like, yeah, I was so happy that I ended up with the number 6. This is the number I wanted because it's the number of the season, and I thought maybe people would think, oh, they purposely arranged it so that Aaron would have the number 6 because this is the season and Aaron's the mole. Um, and I got told that I had 2 extra ping pong balls. So I knew that only one person answered correctly about me. So I knew, okay, Emily and Josh probably also have some balls of their own. So cool. It's very likely that we're all going to get drawn. So then I also bought balls as well. So I
Oh, we
think I
all
had
did.
like a total of,
Besides Luke.
yes, I think I had 6 in there. And so when I wrote down like the order of people getting their numbers. I don't know why I did that. When we were
No,
sitting
I
around the
wrote that
table.
too. I
Yeah,
wrote that too.
yeah. And I think at some point in here, um, Emily had also given me like the postcard that you made about Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And so
So she passes it off to you at some point in this round.
yeah, yeah. So we had started to solve it a little bit.
Mhm.
I think this was after this task that I got past it. And so when we're at the table, I know that Emily, Josh, and I have balls in the thing. And at this point, I'm starting to suspect heavily that Steven is the mole. So I'm like, and I should have known from this that you weren't. I don't know why I thought that, like, even, I don't know how on earth I thought, but I was like, okay, obviously the 3 people with balls that were drawn are going to want people voted out that aren't them. And lucky for us, but also unlucky for us, in because they didn't show this, but you and Emily literally, you go first. You just literally blurt out, I had the number 3. Was that your number?
Yes, mine was 3.
I had the number 3. Emily is like, I had the number 2. And we're like, whoa, okay, no, we can't just
Well,
do that.
Tim just squashes that. It's like you're not
Like,
allowed to do that. It's like, well, man, if I knew I wasn't allowed to, I would have said that. But cat's out of the bag, and it
because
doesn't
like
make sense.
that makes it really it is. And so now from 8 people, it got narrowed down to 6. So I know Emily doesn't have a thing in there. Um, but I also felt like Emily, Josh, and I kind of maybe had like a general agreement that we were going to help each other because it's very likely that the
Yeah.
people whose balls were drawn were ours because we knew secretly we all had extra balls in there more than everybody else. And um oh yeah. So then Luke had said, "Oh, I don't know my number." He lied about that.
Hmm.
Lied saying he didn't know his number.
Luke, why? Never.
Yeah, and then I said, "Well, I don't know. I didn't look at my number either. I didn't hear it." Um, and then I think later I revealed, "Oh, actually, I have number 3,
You
I
do that in the
wanted to
second round.
see.
I'm just like,
Yeah,
oh, there's
yeah,
a counterclaim.
yeah, and because we I can't remember who went first. It was just a random thing because I was
So
like, I'm gonna vote for
Luke gets voted out first, right? In like a
yes.
very
Luke gets
weird
voted out,
vote.
and I was like, okay, this is perfect because Steven and Emily have blurred out their numbers. So I don't know who has balls, but I do know that if us plus the mole, because I figured that the mole likely was not going to have their ball drawn. So I figured us three plus the mole, we have a silent majority here. If we vote out Steven and vote out Emily, we're fine. We don't even have to do anything. We don't have to think. We don't have to talk about anything. This is great. So I'm like really pushing and I'm like, okay, or like maybe so I that's why I said I have the number 3. It's me. So Steven's lying. We need to vote out Steven because I don't know what number he has, but it's not 3. And yeah, and I think I was like, okay, but if Steven's the mole, he's gonna vote himself out here. He's gonna help us because he knows the mole knows that like they want to sabotage this challenge with us. They're gonna vote with us. Now, granted, that's not at all how the votes went, but in my mind, I'm like, yeah,
It's just because I never even considered you could vote yourself out. I was just so in the
yeah,
mind of Survivor. I'm like, you can't write your own name down in Survivor.
yeah. I was like, and I you see my confession. I was like, I put a trap in this challenge. I know you're gonna vote for yourself. I want to see if you vote yourself out, Steven, because you didn't. Obviously, you voted for
I
me.
just thought I shout your name instead.
And then we get to that last round, and we're gonna vote out Emily. I was like, okay. I was like, I hope maybe the mole, if they're still here, if it's not Steven, maybe the mole will vote with us. Maybe we can get Lachey, because I know Joe and Lachey. Joe had a ball drawn, and so Joe was trying to get Lachey. I don't know who Joe was trying to get Lachey to vote, but Lachey mistook it for Aaron, and I kind of voted for the wrong person. I think Joe was trying to vote me out. I can't remember, but somehow we were able to get Emily out, and that ended really well. I was really frustrated with Aaron in this challenge too because of the whole because we could pay $15 to find out how many people or like
Yeah.
balls were drawn, and I'm thinking, okay, half the table knows we have more balls in there, and that was something that I also was like, oh, I don't know if they're going to say the exact total amount because that's going to give the whole thing away.
Yeah.
That Josh, Emily, and I have a bunch of balls in there. Like, I don't want it to be known that like we had an advantage in this. But I also know that, well, hey, we already know there's a bunch of balls in there. And why do we need to pay $15 for something that we already know? And it turned out everybody paid for balls except for Luke. So it was like, if you know that you paid for balls and then other people likely also paid for balls, why are we spending $15 for that? And that's why I was like, we could have had free money. You said no. So it was crazy. But it was fun.
So as a result of this, you walk out with 2 jokers, 3 jokers.
Yeah, something like that. And so this was a crazy, crazy round for me too, because I was starting to back off of Emily. I didn't answer about myself or Josh at all on this quiz. So I ended up eliminating Josh entirely because I knew that it wasn't Josh. And I had Emily and Joe very low as well. But I guess I was saved because of my jokers that I had. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
It's not actually this number. It's this number plus your jokers, which raises the average of what I actually answered. So, but when I first got the thing, I had wrote this down, and I was like, "Oh, that doesn't make any sense." And then we were in the billiards room. And I was like, "Wait a minute." wait, I don't think it was supposed to be 12. I think it was supposed to be an L instead of a K. And then when I changed the K's to L's, I was like, oh, that's Los Angeles. And I know from the dossiers, because I'd memorized everything, I know who has Los Angeles on. It's Steven, who coincidentally I've been answering, has been in my top 3 the whole time. I ran up those stairs so fast and I answered 16 questions about you that quiz. And I'm thinking, I'm hot stuff. I'm thinking I've just cracked the game wide open. Wide open. This is crazy. And I survived this round. And I was like, wow, maybe it is Steven.
So you kind of come to this conclusion, like, I think it may be Steven. And I'm curious, like, in terms of the sus squad overall, is this information you're sharing or is this information you're keeping?
So Josh and Emily and I were trying to solve the card, and I was trying to be a little secretive about solving the card because I was like, and I kept getting past different cards. Oh, I think I got the Tiger one from Emily at some point as well. And I went up in the bathroom with my journal and I took it out and I started doing the cipher. And I was like, Tiger, burning. And I was like, why is it Tiger? Because I was looking like for like, oh, is somebody's favorite animal a tiger? And no, nobody's favorite animal was a tiger. So I was like, why is tiger in there? And so I randomly had the thought, is there a tiger related to UCLA? I don't even know if this was your intention or not, but I looked up Tiger UCLA and it was like, oh yeah, Tiger is a UCLA basketball player. And I said, that's a random fact. That can't be a coincidence. This
You know what a tiger's also the mascot of? My current
also the best.
university.
Yes. And I was like, okay, this is a little something that's tied to Steven in multiple ways. There's no way it can't be Steven. And so I was so excited having got this round. And so with my strategy of attaching to the mole, I jumped at the chance to be on a team with you. And this is when Emily also was like, and I'm thinking in my mind, Emily's passed me these cards. So like we've come to the same conclusion that it's Steven. And so we were both chomping at the bit to be on a team with Steven. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna work with them all. We're gonna get all our quiz questions right today. We're gonna really do it. And so I jump on a team with you both, and we get the people skills. Or no, Joe had people skills, and this was also a big turning point as well because I just solved the postcards about you. And so we answer the questions about like which member is most selfish, who's liked the most, who should be eliminated next. And the way the discussions went made sense to me. I guess you were surprised with the way that Emily and I ended up answering the questions, but I was like, the logic makes sense.
I just love I love that like the eliminate. I'm like, I don't see Josh. You're like, nah, he's not the mall.
Yeah, I was like, Lachey would be the best person on that team to be eliminated because it would clear world because I had Lachey high on my list, and I was like, in case it actually is Lachey and Lachey is a blind spot for me, it would be good to know that Lachey is actually not a mole candidate because then I can like really focus on Steven the way that I think it is.
Like for me, the Josh was the opposite. I was like, I really wrote off Josh, and I'm like, I don't think anyone's concerned about Josh being the mole at this point. I want him out because he's not adding suspicion to the list.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that, but I was like, we know. So then you, Emily, and I end up in the billiard room waiting for the other team to complete the task, and we're in there for a while, and time is passing, and all of a sudden it's lunch. And we've been in there. I think we like walked. I can't remember if we like eventually walked out the room or like. I think Tim. I think we asked Tim, and Tim like messaged us. Or wait, did Tim message you?
Tim messaged me. He's like, "What are you doing for lunch?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What are you doing for?"
Yeah, and I was like, and this was a weird point for me because I was like, oh, production just exposed themselves big time. The mole has to be on my team. because there is no way that the production would forget that we were in the room unless they thought that the mole was already at lunch, because the mole would know what the schedule is. And so the fact that they texted you first, I was like, oh, what are you doing for lunch? I was like, oh, well, there you go. Now, granted, it was Emily the whole time, and that's but like Emily was the mole, and like we were in there because I'm pretty sure they probably thought like, well, Emily knows what lunch is, so we're probably like, and that really turned me on to you and Emily, but more you than Emily, but like because I was like the mole has to be on our team because there's no way that they would make a mistake like that unless they thought that we already knew that the task was over for some reason.
So we ended up going back for lunch, the same place we did the prior night, the
Yeah.
kind of the barbecue bar, the previous night.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, I'm having really good conversations with Aaron. We're really talking about a lot.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It was so, because part of it was like I genuinely was like, oh my god, Steven is a person that like I really want to be friends with, because we had a lot of like answers in common, and I really liked a lot of the answers that Steven had on the dossier. And the other part of it was like, well, I know that Steven's the mole, so let me learn. Let me slip in like things I know about the dossier in here to see like what the answers behind it is, and stuff. So I was like asking about your favorite games and things, which I do have Talos Principle downloaded. I'm getting ready to play it. I'm so excited to play it.
Yeah, I can keep posting how that goes.
Yeah, I know. I had the sequel and everything, so I'm like locked and ready. But that was a very fun time getting to spend lunch with you both, and we went back to the same place we had the couples dinner at, and it was cool getting to be there in like a lunch setting and stuff. It was very really good.
And after lunch, it's gonna be our favorite challenge.
Yeah.
Where just the random chance you are with the Sus Squad of Josh and Luke to do a little art projects.
This was so crazy. This is the first time that we were all in a team, and
this is probably one of my favorite parts of the entire season, is watching the three of you lose it as you do this project together.
It was so much fun experiencing it, and the best part was being able to watch John and Tim's faces as we were doing this, as we slowly collectively lost our minds and were really bad at the paper mache. Now, I will say, I think we were set up with these celebrities that we were given, because you had things that were easily identifiable, like LeBron James.
Yes.
And even if you couldn't really do like the pixel stuff of the face, like the jersey is recognizable. But like Halle Berry, Sarah Jessica Parker, and the Phyllis Diller?
Sure.
I'm like, I don't know if that's a name. Now, granted, Joe did know these names from rattling them off on the other team, but like, I don't know if
Tim knowing that John and him really want to see Phyllis Diller.
I'm like, I don't know if I would have ever come up with that name naturally.
No, I never heard of
It was not a person. I did not know who that was before we even did the challenge. And I was like, okay, the easiest person on this list to do is going to be Sarah Jessica Parker, because we have Sex in the City. You could do like I felt like that picture of Sarah Jessica Parker would be easy to replicate. Halle Berry just felt like I feel like this is not the name to pick, but we did it, and it looked. And that picture, I was trying to match the color of the picture to the pixels to the thing, and I was just like, yeah, this is not looking the way that we thought it would. But I mean, we did our best. I'm not an art person. That's my brother. I'm not the
musician.
Yeah, I'm more of a musician than an artist. So, yeah, that was a very fun quiz, but it was just like crazy.
So Joe goes out here, not someone you were super worried about, and this takes us to the final 6.
Yeah, and I had answered again 16 questions about you. So I've started to be like, like pushing more and more like it's Steven, it's Steven. Now everybody else still had like a couple answers, but I'm like, it's Steven. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I've answered about Steven majority questions like twice in a row. I think this is the time that I'm gonna go all in on Steven. And this is where we go to our blackjack challenge. Where oh, was it the pictures? The
Uh,
pictures of the people?
yes.
Yeah, this one I didn't know about the sabotage, and I should have known about the timeline of after me was when the pictures were messed up. 'Cause I didn't know, I really didn't have a barometer for the pictures being messed up because I saw it as it was. Um, and Emily had told me before the challenge. Emily told me before the challenge what her loved one looked like. So I had an idea, but I didn't know exactly which picture it was. And so I knew it wasn't a relative. I knew it was a friend. I knew it was a guy. So I was just like, who here looks aesthetically like Emily's person? I happen to pick the right one.
That was
Um,
pretty good because like I was so cute on like family. I would have never thought something like Emily had would have submitted a friend.
yeah. And luckily I got to pick myself or change or fix the one that was on me.
Mhm.
Or my loved one and make sure that one was correct. But yeah, the whole sabotaging stuff, that was blatant. I didn't even think about that. Didn't register. And even interviewing Emily afterwards, she lied about the. It was so good. It was so good watching Emily do anything on that. It was so cool.
Yeah, I think the only evidence was Josh was like saying I didn't do it.
Yeah, yeah. And at this point, at some point, I know I definitely purposefully shifted away from Josh and Luke actually. And I think I ended up working a lot more with you and Emily at this point. Just because I thought you were the more Emily was a good, trustworthy person to talk to. And there was some point where like because Josh was begging for answers, and I didn't want to be that person that gave Josh so many answers that eventually Josh would do better on a quiz than me and I'd be
Yeah.
eliminated. Which eventually did happen, but um, yeah, but there was some point where Josh was like, "Yeah, I don't need to look at the thing. I think I know who the mole is. I think I'm pretty confident."
Did you have
With
any inkling that he was going all in on Luke at this point in time?
no, no, and if he did, I would have told him I've answered a couple weeks with zeros on Luke. I know for a fact it is not Luke because I would not be here if I put zero questions on Luke. It's not Luke. I don't even know how he got to like. How did he jump? I want to hear how Josh
I'll
got on to
ask.
Luke. That's a yeah, a wild jump to Luke. But yeah, I after this one we went to the wholesale place and it was Wilmington's oldest business and there was like numbers on the cash register and I was like writing that down, the totals, and there's like a number on the calculator and I was like writing that down to see if that was a clue. Because again, I'm still looking for clues to like
Mhm.
confirm. Oh, I just remembered. Okay, totally important thing that also made me turn on to you. Um, so I during the couples one challenge, you see us holding these plushies
Yeah.
that John gave out. Now, this was totally coincidental, apparently. But the one that was given to me was this like clown looking one. And the name of this plushie was Uki. And it said Uki was a chef. And in this round, I'm thinking, wait a minute, didn't we just hear Daddy Matt say that Emily is the chef and that one of the instruments that Emily plays is the ukulele? Why is this random plushie here? This is a clue. This is a clue that means that Emily is the one. I remember at one point I went to you with that, and you're like, no, I don't think that's right. Did you actually take that in, or did you not believe that?
I did not believe that. I heard you tell
Okay.
me that just like I think you're kind of phrasing like John did this. I'm like, but John doesn't know who the mole is. Only Tim knows who the mole is.
Yeah, but well, it was just like, oh, it was something given to us from production because Emily and I were holding the plushies. So Emily was holding one, but then I got given one that was talking about Emily, and I was like, oh, did Emily know that to hold that one and the other? I was losing my mind. I was like, oh, okay. But I never really jumped back on Emily for some reason because I was just so convinced because your clues were so professional
Thank you.
that like I was like, and also our season was so different from all the previous ones that you couldn't really go with the argument of, well, they've never done this, so why would you believe it? Because there were so many other things about our season that were different. So like I couldn't, maybe they would start putting clues in there. We don't know that like there'd be secret postcards. Everybody's like
Yeah,
holding
I
and
mean,
stuff.
one of the things I didn't know what the mole aesthetic was, so it was like Tim saying it's way more professional than anything I would have made. I'm like, whoops.
Yeah, honest, but I hope people on future seasons take notes because the clues were amazing. It was really really cool. But anyway, back to the wholesale thing. So I was just writing down what was on the cash register in the calculator, and we were playing the battleship thing. And Luke jumps at volunteering Lachey for this task, which I was like, oh, all right,
Yeah, I was like,
hey,
sure.
all right. And Lachey picks me first. Now, I had made sure that I was the anchor, and I was really happy that I was there because I was next to you.
Yes, and only me.
Yes. And I think at this point too, before I had approached you and I had asked you about your suspicions, and you gave me like a thing about like, oh, I thought it was Aaron, but Aaron's gone, and so now I don't know what to do. And I was like, I didn't quite believe it turned out to be true. I just didn't quite believe. I thought it was such a non-answer that I was like, maybe the mole that didn't know how to like phrase this. So I was like really harping on you on this task. I was like, I'm not letting you drop a single thing. Every time you came to me and you were almost dropping, and because I lived in Korea for
Mhm. Your chopstick skills are quite good.
as a teacher, so my chopstick skills, I was like, I am not letting you drop this. I don't care how you give it to me. This candy is not hitting the floor if I have anything to do about it. Granted, I don't really know exactly what we were doing with the candy after like 10, 15. I think we did like way too many
Yes.
candies to the point that like, we stopped and just started watching Lachey. And so when Lachey picked me, Tim was leading me back and gave me a location of where the rooms were. They were like, oh, one's over here, two's over here, and room three is all the way in the back. And I said, let me go to the room all the way in the back.
That was such great intuition.
I'm sure there's going to be something in there. And so I walk in there and I'm surprised to see really big advantages like the exemption and the auxiliaries, which craziness. And I was debating on what to take, and I at that point I was like, I could take an exemption, I could take an auxiliary, but it's not going to necessarily help me because yes, I'll be here next week, but I'm not going to know if I'm here because I'm on the right track or if I'm here because I had the exemption and and so I was like, I'm going to take a risk. It's the first time I'm going to go all in on somebody. I'm going to go all in on Steven because I've answered so many questions about Steven and I'm still here and I'm just going to bet everything on this. And I told Lachey, I was like, Lachey, if I am still here, it's Steven. Or sorry, if I'm still here, or if I'm not here, it's not Steven because I'm going all in on Steven. And so when we got back to the house, I was like really excited to take this quiz. I was shaking because I was like, oh, I hope I can do this. And then I go up there, I take the quiz, I go all in on you for the first time. And I make it through, and Lachey gets eliminated. And I, I was really elated from this because I was like, okay, I am on the right track. I'm doing the right things. I know it's Steven. I'm like locked in. And yeah. And so that night, I was originally going to write down what everybody remaining in the game did. But I only had time to, um, I only ended up writing about you. I wrote all your answers. I wrote everything that you did. I memorized it all. And I know I was like, I have so many things about Steven committed to memory that I don't even know if I should. I like put every position that you were, I put every team that you were, like what choices you made, and just studied it, and was really honing in on that. And yeah, I was just really convinced that it was you. It was there's so much strong like I don't know why. Yeah, I was like, oh, we're doing Battleship because Steven is a first responder. I was like, I was trying to like make weird connections.
Daddy Matt Strikes Again.
Yeah, to things. Yeah. And so when we got to that final 5 round of the shopping task, I knew I was gonna win it because I had just played in the Traders Columbus, where John did a memory task, and I was really good at that, and I won that, and I was like,
You
I
were
I
impressive in this one.
I know that I was like, I feel like the memorization is like one of my strongest suits. I can memorize things about anybody. I also knew that my quiz taking ability was going to be faster than anybody else. So if I was correct, I was winning. Like I was like, if I'm right, I win the game. Pretty much. Um, and I was debating on picking you or Emily for this. And had I picked Emily, I would have told Emily, "Hey, Emily, we need to sabotage this task because we need to we need to like, put suspicions on ourselves so people don't answer Steven." And I ended up taking you instead because I was like, I want to work with the mole. I want to sabotage, and I actually should have gotten a clue from the way that we conducted ourselves during this shopping task that you were actually a player and not the mole. Because the first thing that we're getting the food like the tofu and the donuts. I'm like, hey, should we get like a bunch of donuts for the
Nah.
I was like, no, we don't do this. Like, okay. Should we buy like more balloons? Like, should we just buy like a whole bunch of things that just to everyone just to see if that works? Okay.
Which, to
And
be fair, I thought that was pretty
yeah,
ingenious. I'm still
yeah.
mad it got denied. I was
I
like, oh,
know.
wow, yeah.
And also my thought was, oh, the mole knew what this task was.
My answers were so
And
terrible in
your
that entire
answers were
task.
so terrible. I was like, Steven obviously knew what this challenge was going to be and set us up so that we couldn't get anything on this shopping list. And I was like, all right, Steven and Heather, let me see if we can find. We didn't really have time to look for a Heather plant, but they did have a Heather
It's too
plant.
far away.
Yeah, too far. But it would have been fun to see. And we also couldn't walk. We couldn't run.
I
couldn't
just
really
someone
do
say,
the
wow, you look like
supermarket
you
thing.
weren't in a hurry. I'm like, we were banned from running. Otherwise, we would have been
Yeah.
tearing through that
No,
store.
I feel like we would have been running around with like chickens with their head cut off because it was just like, we gotta go, 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 go. And we couldn't be far away from each. We had to be within like 15 feet. Like we had to be close
We
at
couldn't
all
split up.
times. Yeah, yeah. So that kind of put limits on what we could do in that challenge. But I was it was a fun being able to spend time with you and do that challenge. It was a
I
lot
mean,
of fun.
that challenge is one of the highlights of the game for me because that was such a
Yeah,
fun thing to do, and have the
yeah.
courage to be able to go on and be
I
able.
it was so exciting, and I was like, oh, I want to go to the end with you, Steve, because in my mind, I was like, I know Steven's going to be at the end of the game. I just have a really strong feeling that Steve's going to be there at the end, so I want to go. Like, and I'm like probably final two because I was like, because the mall, it's fine, you know. And then we get the challenge
We get
where
Max.
we finally give a task to Josh.
And we give him the
Negotiate.
worst position. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, negotiations for stuff. And so I knew the entire time that I wanted the notebooks because I felt like that was going to be the most powerful advantage, and it was. I just didn't really listen to it. Um, and but I wanted to throw Josh off a little bit, and I think I had lied about something, and you had picked up on it with me. Like you just went along with what I said because I think I said something about like, oh, remember the clue that we saw on the shopping trip?
Yeah.
Um, about so that kind of like has changed my mind about who I think the mole is. I think, you know, uh, I think Josh is the mole. So I, but do we want to like throw the challenge? And I asked you again, like, hey, do we want to throw the challenge? We didn't do it. Just tell Josh exactly what we're picking. But I'm glad that it worked out. That I got the notebooks and you were able to get what you wanted.
I was really debating like denying the notebooks. Like I was something I was considering, but then I was like, nah, it'll be fine. And so like in retrospect, I'm like, oh, I really should have given like what it nearly helped you do.
Oh yeah, the notebooks absolutely life changing. It was so good being able to go through the notebooks of the eliminated players and see because Joe really helped a lot because Joe had pretty much put everybody left in the game on a quiz and went home, and it was all the guys. Did not put Emily at all, and I was like, oh, maybe it's not Steven. And Lachey had wrote. I didn't know this. I didn't realize she wrote this after she left, but she thought her biggest suspicion was that Emily was the mole. But I thought she wrote that before she got eliminated, so that maybe not necessarily pick up on it. Because I knew that she strongly suspected Emily throughout the game. I just didn't know if that's what she answered on her quiz that got her eliminated. And I was like, oh shoot, is it Emily? Because just from looking at all the things and the way that people were like eliminating other people, like it just. But I didn't have a lot of time to study, and I was like, oh, geez, I'm just like trying to study all the stuff I wrote about Steven. So I went back in and I went all in on you again. And this quiz I did for this round was the fastest time for the entire game. So I knew going in there that if I'm eliminated, it's not because of time. Because I knew I beat I knew intrinsically I beat everybody.
Quick question: when
Yeah.
you're looking at the journals, did you find Brienne's journal with the note with the postcards in it?
Yes. Well, so I saw Brienne's journal.
Mhm.
I did not see the notes until after I was eliminated
Okay.
because I brought up the bag of notebooks because we were comparing. Because I was so shocked that I was eliminated, and I was like, no, but it's definitely like, did Josh and Luke just answer even faster than me? Because I was like, but then when I brought up the notebooks to the eliminated players and we were looking through them, and we saw the postcards, and we were thinking, okay, why did we have 20 questions? Why did we have double the questions? Why did we have that couples round? It has to be that Steven and Emily are both moles. And the reason that we were all eliminated was because we didn't answer enough about both Steven and Emily. I don't know where we got that idea from, but we were like really like because then started looking back at the cards and we were finding connections to Emily, and I was like, that plushie that we got given that the chef and the chief, and I was and the whole Texas thing. They're both from Texas. That's why on the quiz when they had asked us where the mole's from, They didn't go specific. They just said Texas because it was true that both moles were from, I was like, we lost our minds. And then it got revealed that no, the notes were fake. Like that just really like blew my mind that somebody was able to come up with that. But it really worked. I don't even know how that scoring would have worked, Luke. I was like, maybe they took the average. Like if you answered 0 about Emily and 20 about Steven, it didn't really like the way. I don't know. We were trying to think of, but I was like, that was a twist that we thought was going to come up, was that there was 2 moles, and that's why we had 20 questions and not 10. But it got revealed that Emily was the mole, and that what surprised me was that you won. I was like, oh, whoa, that like you blew my mind even more, because I was like, that like, you really were not the mole at all. I was like, that's crazy. But that clue that I think really was a huge advantage for you, because I really want to see a chart. I don't know if this is possible, Tim, but one day I want to see a chart of who answered questions about Steven and see what that chart looks like, and see if just how much impact it was. Because I know for me, like a lot of my stuff is going to be green. Because it's been so much. I know so much about like what happened, and it was so much fun playing this. I would play again. For Redemption, and it was such a blast playing and doing the reunion and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it was a really, really fun time, and I'm
good news.
I want to see it, because I want to know. Cause here's the thing, that chart represents what I felt in my mind. I was like, I'm really doing something. We really, and Josh, Luke, we should have talked to each other more, because I think had we could actually compared notes, I think it would have been very easy to sort out through our own. But like once you get in a world, because it's really easy to fall into a world in the mall, and like once you really think that you're doing something and that you're winning, it's hard to get out of that. And it was just I picked up the torch that Brienne had left behind, because I think Brienne would have been very like, again, a very strong like Steven is the mole person, just from her stuff with the clues. So yeah, it was craziness.
I will say, I think your elimination outside of Danny Brienne is probably the most shocking, because you just exuded this confidence the entire game. You come and say like, I know what I'm doing. I know who the mole is. I got this cover. I'm like, my gosh, Aaron knows everything. What am I doing here?
Yeah, and then because when I came down the stairs, I had lied and said that I changed my answers, because I was like, which I should have. I should have just done what I was thinking, because I was like, oh, I switched everything just to like, And so when I got eliminated, I was just in shock that I was eliminated. I was like, oh, I changed everything. Oh, and then I walked out. I was like, I didn't actually change anything. I was just like, I just didn't. The information was right there in the eliminated players' notebooks, and I just didn't. I didn't utilize the information correctly, because it was all there that it wasn't Steven, and I should go on somebody else. But all the Emily suspicion. Emily did a really good job at just managing people and just lowering their expectation that she was the mole. Even for people like me who are very like staunchly opposed to her at the very beginning of the game, because I was just and also Emily had a similar clothing thing related to Luke that I had like picked up on, and I was like world's worst ex-girl. It was like, oh, is this a clue that like you're bad? Like you're the like what? Because the outfits and the pink and black motif with her color choices, I was like, that seems like planned out in the same way that Luke's was, and I was like, oh.
Did Luke's clothing ever make you question that he was or was not the mole?
No, because I just knew that was Luke's personality, and like Luke said, like Luke and I answered very little about each other, so we both knew that like obviously like they're not the mole. I don't think I ever answered more than 2 or 3 questions about Luke in the entire game, just because I trusted Luke that much, and also because just the way the answers lined up, Luke didn't have a lot of overlap with people that I suspected, or with Emily, who turned out to be. So yeah.
Well, I can tell you from my perspective, I didn't think you were the mole, and then that day two, that like that through that the line game as well as the voting out game,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like going, oh shoot, I've
yeah,
been writing Aaron off prematurely. I need to reconsider everything. And so I went after my biggest suspect, Aaron E goes out. I'm like, all right, I guess my top 3 suspects are Luke, Aaron, and Emily, and it's gotta be one of them. I don't know which, but
yeah,
yeah, it's something's happening here.
yeah, yeah. It was, and I was trying to maintain suspicion on me, but it was really a hard line to walk. And yeah, yeah, and I kept trying to do things like outside, like when we're waiting in the billiards room or in between rounds, because I wasn't in the house that much. And also, I thought the fact that I was leaving the house too could be seen as suspicious, because now production has free reign to contact me outside the game because I'm not there. You don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I actually might not even be at home. I could just be like 2 doors down,
in the mall auxiliary house.
yeah, like pretending that I left, but I'm actually like, in a hotel room or something, like talking to production or something. Yeah, it's awesome.
So you go to play another mole game in the future. Anything you want to do differently, or just like you kind of feel like, hey, what I'm doing is working?
Um, I think I had the right idea of having like
Mhm.
um really close. I think just compare notes
Mhm.
more with people. I think I was too private with it. Uh, and I
I
think
mean, you're talking to someone who sure knows no one, so.
oh, that's true. It was because it's sort of like, or I think for me, never write anybody off
Yeah.
ever. Like
Mhm.
even if it's somebody that I've only answered like 1 or 2 questions about, like I need to consider a world where, because that was in my mind going through the game, was either I'm completely dominating this, being in on Steven, or everybody is really bad,
Yeah.
and the only reason I'm here is because I happen to be faster than other people, which was closer to what was actually happening. And so just kind of operating as if I'm barely surviving, and kind of like keeping answers split for longer than
Mhm.
just all inning on somebody too early. And obviously every season is different, and there could be seasons where like you just like, because like my instinct was correct the first time that it was
Mhm.
Emily. I just took myself off of it, I think. And there could be other seasons where it's like who the mole is from jump, and you get it, or you have zero idea and you kind of stumble into it later. There's really no way to know
Yeah.
for sure. So um keeping multiple scenarios for as long as possible until you get closer to the end, and then like
Mhm.
really look at the people that are left and be like, okay, which one is, and just go for it with what
Mhm.
I don't know. You have a better strategy than me. I don't know what
I
to
mean,
do.
you and I went all in at the same point in time in the game,
Yeah,
right? At the final 6. I mean, I
yeah.
think, and I think, I, and it is a question of when do you make that jump, and it's so hard to tell because again, like when I was hearing Luke saying I'm going all in from Final 9 onwards, I'm like, are you really? Or are you trying to encourage me to go all in as a result? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else about your gamer experience you have want to talk about that we haven't had a chance to dig into?
I do wish that I had gotten to be at the house, because I do wonder
How long sleep you
what
would have
kind of,
gotten?
yeah, what kind of like late night conversations could have happened, or information I could have gleaned from being there.
Mhm.
But that time spent studying by
Yeah.
myself and being able to like really like get all of that down was invaluable. It was really, really helpful. And definitely apply for this show if you have not already. I don't know if applications are still up. Also, I don't know if they would be taking applications from previous people, because I would apply again if I had the ability to.
Is there anything that says a former player can't reapply?
I have no idea. I don't know. That's a good question. Because I would 1,000% play again. Because it just seemed like so much fun, and they put so much work into it. And it was a really fun time to be there.
So, what do you have coming up in the future? What do you look? What else do you have going on in your life, Aaron?
Ooh, I don't even know. I'm just here. I'm just existing. I know I'm playing a lot of Talos Principle, which will be fun. And I'll be talking with you about that. Yeah, I'm just kind of chilling out for the holiday season and seeing what the world brings me next year. Should be an exciting time. I do want to like put myself out there and play more games, because I haven't really. This is like the first year that I started playing live reality games since my time in Realfoot. So, and I would also eventually love to do. It's been like 4 years. So I hope I remember anything about season 9 of Realfoot.
Oh, yeah, no. Once we wrap up all these interviews, trust me, we'll talk.
Cool, perfect. Yeah, I'm just excited to see what everybody else has to say about their times and things that they did. I'm just trying to think of any other tidbits that that happened. Yeah, just it was just a lot of fun. And doing the quizzes was like so stressful.
Makes me not miss school.
Yeah, it makes me not miss school, especially the one with the couples one with Aaron, because Aaron took such a long time. Now, granted, Aaron was the reason we were both still there, but I was like, oh no, like we're getting eliminated because Aaron took so long for this quiz. I'm like, for sure everybody else did it faster. That we were the slowest over, because the time was dependent on who did it slower.
Wasn't
So I
Joe
was like, oh,
slowest?
maybe it turned out that Joe was even slower than Aaron, but I was like, and that's when we also thought that Joe and Luke were gonna leave, because we were like, there's no way that anybody did it any slower than they did, or but no, they were managed to stay in, so it was cool.
I will say one of my favorite moments is you and Aaron after the quiz, where you say like, Aaron's like, well, I'm not the mole, and you just kind of say, yeah, you just kind of get this laugh, just like, no, that's not true.
I know.
It just made me laugh whenever I saw it.
It was so much fun. Yeah. Any questions that you have for me that things?
I mean, I guess the last question I have in my mind is, going into that double elimination quiz with Aaron, what was your strategies? Did you plan things out with Aaron, or just kind of say we're both going to wing it? Or how much did you share?
Yeah. So for that, we kind of looked into. We split people because we had like I was suspicious. She was suspicious of you, and we both had like Brienne and Danny, and so I think I was supposed to go more in on Danny, which I did, but I kind of switched a couple questions to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going through that quiz and being like, thank goodness that I didn't go all in the way that I could have, because I felt like we narrowly avoided elimination with that. And it was just like craziness. But it was a lot of fun getting to sit down with Aaron and like go over, okay, we're going to split on these 4 people. It was like Aaron, it was like Brienne, Danny, Steven, and I can't remember who the other person was. Maybe Lachey. Yeah, Lachey. Mm-hmm. And see what we get.
All right, Aaron, I think that's all the questions I have. Just thank you so much for giving me the 2 hours of your time to kind of talk about the game and give all the spoilers and like the like step-by-step evolution of your game. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Thank you all for tuning in. This has been another episode of Live Rally Game Podcast. We have some more post-season coverage. I need to contact and coordinate with Josh and Luke, and hopefully I'll be talking to them all soon. All right. Have a good night, y'all. Good night, Aaron.
Good night.